guess it's about time I explain the 4-year gap. So, for the past 3 years, I've been going through some stuff. Yeah. So I ended up getting distracted and got prevented from making videos like in my original intentions. That being said and done, basically to that extent, I've basically been distracted. There's no excuse. I guess a few things that I should go over is the details of the near 4-year gap that I created. One of those is the military. The military, it's a great thing. I'm not going to discourage anyone from joining the military because the military is simply that. It's a great thing. I joined the military for the purpose of getting to go to college for free, basically. I couldn't afford it. I still can't afford it. I'm just going to college for free. But the thing about being in the military, is it doesn't really give you the life you want. Unless you want to make the military your whole life and your whole surrounding and whatnot. But that's basically your choice, your decision to make. I joined the military for the purpose of several reasons. One being free college. The other being to kind of honor my family's legacy of consistently being in the military, at least once I'm in, so on and so forth. My grandfather was in the military. My father, myself, my uncles. It's kind of a family tradition. I got wrongfully terminated, however, and I ended up getting back in, which is a plus side to it. Only advantage to having family members who are actually in the military or served in the military and have an extremely high regard at any level of the military. During that time gap, the following year after my last video, I got distracted and preoccupied with having a job, trying to be able to one day support a family and whatnot, and basically, that's kind of where I'm at right now, I guess, in a sense. I'm working a job where I'm literally at work almost 18 hours out of the day, every day. It's utterly ridiculous. Don't do it. Don't do it. In addition to that, in that 3 to almost 4-year gap, I have gone from very few jobs. A lot of people, some people stay with the same company for 4 or 5 years. Some companies I just couldn't stay with. Some companies cheated me for money. Other companies didn't. But, there were other issues that led to me leaving that company. All I'm going to say is when it comes to working, find something that you love and do it. Not because you think that's the only way that you're going to make money, but because you just purely genuinely love it. 9 times out of 10, you won't love the job that you have. Me personally, I have loved every job that I've had. Reason being, because it was a learning experience. Doing a job where it's a learning experience, it gives you a lot of levels of intellect where you can literally do just about anything. If you were to go to college, they're going to want to look at your academic history, if you're in high school, or, that's basically it is if you're in high school. or if you go to a community college and you're transferring over to a university or state college, they're going to want to look at your academics, your honors with your previous school, and they're going to look at it and they're going to say, well, hey, we see that you did this with this person for this extensive amount of time. I had a job in construction for 3 years, just about 3 years. I loved that job. I loved it. I loved it with every minute and fiber and being a bone in my body. Eventually I got to the point to where I was decent at the job. I wouldn't say that I was the best, but I was still good at it. I ended up going into the military because I wasn't making enough money with that person, even though I was working roughly around 90 hours a week. It's just something that you gotta find a way to work around and live through. I know for myself, working 2 jobs or 3 jobs, or going and doing 2 jobs and going to college is not a very plausible thing for a lot of people. But if you can do it and you can make it work, then do it. I don't care about your excuses or your beliefs or your views. I do, but only to a certain extent. It brings us to the 3-year, almost 4-year hiatus that I was on from making any YouTube videos, which, it was never originally my intention. I intended to make YouTube videos even up to this point. I've had YouTube for almost 6 years. The 6 years that I've almost had it, I've barely made any videos. I haven't left any real dent in the world, which, I had no intentions of doing, I intended to be somewhere by now, either on a much larger scale or doing something that I actually find interesting, everyone has their own little cliches and whatnot, but, my biggest thing is, I need to find something that I can do, I had intentions of moving from one state to a different state, or from the United States to a different country at one point in time, but, that didn't exactly pan out to what I had hoped for. I did briefly from one state to a state that's 1,000 miles away, basically. It was over 1,000 miles, to be entirely honest, but I still did it nonetheless, and I was there for 6 months. 7 months technically, but that doesn't matter that much. Basically I moved from one state to another, and that was for the purpose of the military. I am moving again from one state to another state. I really need to learn to stick in one state, but being a young 20-year-old going on 21, it just isn't that reliable or reasonable, for that matter. And I think that anyone who is around my age or at my age, should find something that they love or enjoy or genuinely want to find themselves doing for the next 30, 40 years. If you find a job being a mechanic, be a mechanic. If you find a job being a bank teller, be a bank teller or a loan officer. I don't care. I do care, but at the same extent, I don't care what it is that you do, only as long as you love it. Some people, they have loved their job for 20 years. In my personal opinion, I think anyone that has a job for 10 or 15 years either really has to love their job, or they just have to be insane. Personally, me, I can't see myself doing a job for 15 years. Potentially being a YouTuber would be something that I could do for 15 years, only because, it's just recording your life and what you do on an everyday average basis. That's it. It's really all that you do. Sure, you have some areas where you can be comedic relief and whatnot, like what Smosh does, sometimes what PewDiePie does, and other big YouTubers and whatnot. Or, you could be somebody like Star Wars Theory, or some other big social media entrepreneur. But just a lot of people have that kind of background that works out for them. I'm not gonna go and say, hey, be like PewDiePie, or hey, go be like S-Sunbeam, or hey, go be like Star Wars Theory, or some other big entrepreneur of that sort, or go be like Smosh and be a comedic relief YouTube channel. Since 2005, they've been around for almost 15 years. And, the same people for those 15 years. They've had new people come in over the course of the past 5 years, but they were around for 10 years. Same two people, day in and day out, for 10 years. They're still around. 15 years, going on 16. One of the founders literally left, but I'm not here to talk about them. I'm mostly here to talk about me and my hiatus. But it's the intense of it. I'm trying to find a way to get on my feet, find a way to leave a mark on the world. I got hired as a manager at McDonald's. That's where my life is at right now, and a bank teller. But hey, that's what pays the bills. In that remark, that is currently where I'm at right now. I have a job being a shift manager at McDonald's and a bank teller. I would not recommend either of those jobs. They pay decent, unbelievably decent, need I mind you. But in that regard, you still have to come to the realism of it all to basically say, hey, I'm doing this for a living. And some people, they love it. Some people, they hate it, but they stick with it because it's a paycheck. I know of at least 4 people at McDonald's that have been with McDonald's for almost 5 to 20 years. And the reason why they stick around is because for some of them, they just purely love it. Other people, they just do it because it's a paycheck. One of my co-managers, he's been there for almost 10 years, and he's there for both. He loves the company, he loves working for them, and he loves the paychecks. But when you're getting paid like $17 an hour as a shift manager, it's not really much that you can complain about. There just really isn't. I got started out at like $13.75. So I'm doing fairly decent with that. But going back to the hiatus of prior military, I was working 2 jobs in construction, and a job as a salesman. 2 of them I loved, 1 of them I hated. The one that I hated was being a salesman. And a lot of people can assume because it has to do with the line, and simply because you don't really want to do it. I cannot handle lying to people. I can to a certain extent, but if it's excessive lies, trying to finding what people want and what they think that they need, and trying to sell it to them to where they get it just so that you have a paycheck. I don't do that. I can't do that. I grew up in a home, where that wasn't something that you were basically taught how to do. I was taught something completely different. Excuse me. And the things that I was taught was not that at all. Everyone has their own little things. And in that regard, a lot of people, they just don't have any reason to keep moving forward with companies. Other people, they do. And again, it has to do with how you feel about a company and how you feel about where you're at with that company. You can look at me and you can see just sagged eyes and whatnot. And you can tell that I'm wasting away. Just slowly. And in that regard, it's a big deal. I mean, being a 20-year-old, working 2 jobs and going to school is extremely exhausting. You never really have time to do it, unfortunately. And, doing that is very exhausting. And, some people, they find a way to make it work. They just do. I don't know how or why, but they just do. And, some people, they do it because they love it. If you love it, great. I don't care. I do care, but I don't care. I care that you love it, but I don't care what you do. It's just that simple. The military is something that I loved. And then they kicked me out because of a medical disease that I don't have. And in that regard, I basically said, okay, what can I do to get back in? I wrote Congress and Senate and the governor of my state. And they all said, well, you can do this. And you can go about it this way. And I did go about it that way, and I did pursue that scenario. And they basically said, hey, since, it's not pre-existent, since you don't have it and it never existed, we can't keep you out. We have to pull you back in. And so with that being said and done, they basically said, hey, you're all clear to come back in. And by the end of it all, that was my life. I had the opportunity and chance in life to live a full life where I could say, hey, here's my life, here's where I'm at, here's what I get to do, here's what I have to do, this is what I am, this is who I am, this is what I'm going to do. And that's what I did. I went into the military. Greatest decision and worst decision I ever made. Do I love it? What I do, yes. For the military. Can't exactly tell you what it is because I would get in trouble, and it's not something that I want to do. I don't like being in trouble. It sucks. But the almost 4-year hiatus, I didn't like that. I have to deal with the fact that I left you guys on a almost 4-year hiatus. Potentially waiting for another video just to see what this blonde idiot has to say. And in that regard, I am an idiot. I'm not gonna say that I'm smart, but I'm not gonna say that I'm dumb. I'm gonna actively call myself an idiot because I am. Because I believe that everyone, is an idiot to a certain extent. I probably shouldn't be saying that you guys are idiots, but everyone is an idiot by any regard. The smartest man alive is an idiot compared to a supercomputer, because a supercomputer has every bit of knowledge ever. It makes the smartest person alive look like an idiot. It's just that simple. And it's frustrating having to deal with some people because, some people just don't know what it is that they're supposed to be doing. But, it's just what some people do. And I can't control it. I don't want to control it, and I have no reason to control it. And, I feel like that is where people's lives are at. I do plan on doing a brief or extensive video here in a few days or weeks of basically my life story and where I got to where I'm at right now, and the outcome of having certain people in my life, and where that has brought me to, and how I view them and how I feel they may have treated me. And I know that to that extent, it's only going to be my point of view and not their point of view. And, everyone has that right and obligation. So, thanks for watching. whoever watches this. I don't know why you'd want to watch a 20-minute video of somebody just ranting. But, it's an explanation.